Hello, Michelle.
Good evening, David. Happy Friday. How are you today?
Happy Friday. I'm doing very well, and I'm doing even better because I've got my friends Maya and David with us today.
Welcome. So
Hello.
nice to have
Hi,
you with us.
David.
Thank you.
So I know Maya and David are beautiful tango dancers, and I know they don't only do tango. And I'm sure they'll tell us a little bit about what they do, but they have a very wonderful studio called the Dance Dojo or Dance Dojo Company, I believe, in Rosendale, New York. So maybe before we get into anything else, if I may, Maya and David, could I ask how you got started in dance?
Well, my story is long, but I started to dance when I was very young. Um, and the story goes like my mom saying, I'm going to take you to dance classes before you kill yourself. Because I was turning and bumping into every single furniture in the house. So she decided that maybe taking dance classes was going to be safer. And so she took me to my first dance teacher, and since then I've been hooked. My dance teacher says that I was there in diapers. But I think what happened is my older sister was taken to class and I followed there, but I actually started taking classes when I was 8 years old. So I did ballet, I did Spaniard dances, all the regional, I did flamenco, belly dance, tap, modern, Argentine tango, folk, and Latin rhythms. So I did a little bit of everything. But that's how I started. Very young and so happy that that was brought by my mom very early in life.
Absolutely. Where did you grow up, Maya? Where was that?
I was born and raised in Argentina, in the
Okay.
Patagonia, um, pretty much in the farm. So that really gave me a whole different perspective that many people do, in relationship to their body and how they coordinate and how rough or soft they are. And I was also a very passionate soccer player, and I did martial arts next to it. So I had a beautiful combination, and I always have those passions coming up. But I think, like I say, growing up in a place like that, like the farm in the Patagonia, also helped me nowadays to create this community that we do around dance. It's a better sense of, helping each other and being very friendly and, close.
Wow, that's a wonderful, wonderful story of dance and such a young age. What about you, David?
I just started last week. No, my story is a little more simple because I didn't take so many classes or learn so many dances. Somehow in my childhood, I enjoyed dancing a lot, but somewhere as I grew up, I forgot that I enjoyed it. And then that came back up very mysteriously at the end of my teenage era. And I found some friends that I was going to school with and working with that they got me into the salsa world, the New York salsa scene. And so I became very passionate about it. It was a very easy way to meet people. I didn't have to put a lot of effort compared to other things. Like this was very, very simple for me, except for the rhythm part. That I really struggled with that one. But and then I became friends with a lot of people. So I went back and forth to New York City from Hudson Valley almost on a 3 times a week basis. And in about 3 years, I got very comfortable with salsa. And we started dancing here with friends up in the Hudson Valley area, and that was super fun. And later on, like maybe 7 years after that, I met the person who will become my wife and my dance partner.
Ah, there we go.
And we kind of hit it off with dance, and it was super awesome because there was this dance chemistry as well as friendship chemistry that made us bond really well in and out of the floor. So
He fell in love with me. That was
That's the simple version, right, Maya? It's really
that's
simple.
the simple
Just
version.
fell in love with you.
And then she gave me tango. Like the second year we met, she gave me. She decided to show me tango, Argentine tango. I was from Argentina, but I didn't know Argentine tango. Most Argentine people don't know tango.
Okay.
And we hit it off. It was quite the experience, quite the journey, but it was super awesome. So here we are.
You're not talking about the dungeon, are you?
No, I'm not talking about the dungeon. No, absolutely not.
We have some secret experiences that were tough. It wasn't easy. It wasn't, but it was fun. Yeah, I'm making
So,
soccer a
out of
little
all the
bit.
dances
Yeah.
that you have explored, because clearly you have some very similar ones, and then there's obviously some that maybe Maya has done that you haven't, David. Which is the winner? Which one do you love the most, or does it change?
For me, it depends.
Right.
Because there's like a different experience. It has to do with the environment. It has to do with
Always.
a feel that you have. No, if you're a ballroom dancer, you don't. I mean, some people, if they prefer, they'll say, "Oh, I love rumba." You know, if it's the last song I will dance, it will be bolero or whatever
Right.
it is. It's hard to say. I'm dancing tango, and the world is the color of tango. I'm dancing salsa, and it's a fantastic celebration. So I guess the moment would say.
Yeah.
And what about you, Maya?
For me, it's always a very tricky question because salsa was something that I really explored in a big time in Argentina, big time. And it was when nobody really was doing salsa around. Imagine these little towns and you start dancing salsa, which is not really on your roots, and you go crazy about it. And then you tell everybody to join, and then you create socials and you have performances. So it was like a big part of my life because it allowed me to become a star.
Right.
Something that nobody was doing. So when I go back home now, I've been here for 11 years. So when I go back home, everybody's like, oh, she was the one that did. And I'm not that awesome, compared to so many young kids right now that are there, they're amazing. But they hold me to this kind of pedestal because I was one of the pioneers, one of the crazy ones that started.
Sure.
So it holds a very special feeling to, they just being something and doing something for the community new. But then when I think about tango did that for me here in United States. When I came here and had somebody, there was people, of course, doing that, like Walter Kane, we had somebody tango back then, or Eileen Marler, a lot of big people doing things for tango. But I was the only Argentinian trying to share their culture. So it opened so many doors and brought so many beautiful people into my life. Just the fact that somebody spends some time learning about your culture, always interested about your music, how you feel something, how you perceive a dance. To me, that's gold. And especially because my English was like nobody good looking. My English was, imagine 11 years back, I didn't have English. So, people stuck with me just because they could sense how much I love this. It was hard to tell. I love everything. I think it's just, I love dancing because of who I dance with.
Yes. And as an instructor, I own a studio here in Niagara, and of course, it's always wonderful to share that same question with your students over their career and journey of dance, because it does change. I mean, David and I know that just as just humans that love to dance, that it depends where you are, who you're with, what season, what the music is, what the weather's like, how you're feeling that day. It's always evolving, but to have an arrangement of choice and know that it just depends on all those factors, it's fun not to be exclusive to one. It can change.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have to say, though, Maya and David, having seen the two of you dance on a number of occasions in person, it's always a pleasure because your passion and joy does really show through in your dancing. And that just makes it so much fun to watch.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, I think, I was just teaching an outdoor class yesterday, and it's a tough thing. We're going to get to that topic, it's just right now we're like having so very few instances of dance, meeting with people or students we used to have, in large group. Now we have 5 students at a time. So much work to put the floor on and off, watching for the rain. It's just, so much for 1 hour class.
So many conditions have to be in line in order for 1 hour of dance, has to happen. And before, it would be something that was simple, and it would be maybe a couple of times a week.
Yeah, so now, when yesterday we put this class up and I start dancing with them, the first time we did it, actually, we got goosebumps and I was crying, after all this, just to meet in this space. And when we started dancing, it felt like we were building something big. It was just, some salsa basic. But it was so important for me and so important for them. And I keep thinking about this. How can I choose between tango and salsa? Not even thinking about flamenco and everything else, but these 2 big streams that we're using, right? Those 2 big connectors. I can't choose. I cannot, because both of them to us are as David says, the glue. See, the connector to people. To me, they are the excuse to make new friends and to inspire people. They are the connector and the excuse to tell people you can do anything you want. Just stay there, be funky, be weird, get excited, and just love what you're doing. To me, doesn't matter, You've been seeing, David, when we go to Stardust per se, I'm not a ballroom dancer, but if somebody asks me to do swing and hustle, I'm going in and I'm going wild. And I enjoy it because it's just the opportunity to really say, okay, just take me, lead me, or follow me. I just, I can't choose. And I think it's a wonderful thing to have that, so many opportunities. And I think I will be sad if I only have one of them. It will be limited. Yeah.
So
well, I imagine that's part of your infectious draw for your community and your students and the people that are in your world, because it is infectious, it's contagious, right? When you share that joy and that love and passion for dance, regardless of which one, it is tangible. And that's what makes it that feeling of goosebumps when you had people come back and be able to share that. That's a wonderful part of what our experience is, right?
Yes. And I guess also, me as a dancer, I've been dancing, as we said, for many years already. I'm not going to say how old I am. You can know that I'm close to 20s. But I've been dancing for way too many years, but I've also been teaching for 22. And I just think back, like, why do I do this? Why am I not, in another business that you could be, much more comfortable probably, or more secure? Just because I don't care for that. I care for making a difference and believing that these things are important. The arts in general are important, but the fact that somebody can dance and lose themselves and just be so present and get emotional or get a good laugh when you're dancing, I just love the whole thing. It's a kind of miracle and a ritual. And then, we happen to do, because I'm also do groove, I'm a groover. So when I go around the rooms and I just make everybody jump and just pose and be dramatic, oh my God, I feel so powerful. It just feels, I feel, it's just seeing people transforming in front of you. I work with kids too, which is pure joy. And I don't know, I'm going to talk all night if you let me. When you see, like, kids especially, you see how much they're open to do weird things and just play fun and just pretend. But when you get adults to do that, and you see that they realize they're capable, they're powerful. To me, I conquered, and I'm happy.
well, I think it takes a special personality to draw that out of people, and you definitely have that. So I think that's one of the things people love about you. So you were talking just a little bit about that you are offering classes. And so clearly we've been shut down because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And just recently you started offering classes, but you're doing something very interesting. I saw a video that you posted on Facebook of you giving group classes individuals dancing alone, but as a group outdoors. And I thought that was so clever. It looked like people were having a lot of fun. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's actually very simple. We're having a class that must have happened a long time ago. We're finally having it, partially because of our the amount of dancing people need and us needing to connect with them as well. So we started the class. It's only 5 people. We have this floor in panels that is removable, and we take it out of the storage unit, we put it out in the concrete slab, we space it out for a little over 6 feet, and everybody has 4 squares, which is plenty of space. And Maya opens up this reservation. Our current students sign up and they come and take the class. And it's fantastic because it's outdoors, it's next to a garden, a vegetable garden, and a beautiful patio as well. So it's surrounded by green. There is a hill, there is a mountain right at about maybe 50 feet from the dance floor. So there's this whole environment that just happens, this whole vibe results out of that one space in the evening before it gets dark and the lights start going on, the string lights. So it's a beautiful, magical time, especially now.
Yeah. I am just
That
gonna
sounds
cry again just by seeing that image. Yeah, and you know that's one of the things that we are doing, right? We offer these twice or 3 times a week, and again, we do it depends on the weather. So some days I put the floor, like yesterday I was putting the floor with David, and I was like, I wish I could know if I can keep it on for the next class, or I have to remove it again and put it again if it rains, because we can, cover it as being 6 feet per, apart. You require a big tent, and we don't have that right now. But also, having the possibility of looking up in the sky and just this freedom also makes us feel a little safer and open. So we're trying to keep it like that. And then the other setting that we have is for just private lessons. We, of course, are moving right now only with people that we already know. We aren't taking new people. Not because we don't want to be open to beginners, but it feels safer, right, to start opening the circle little by little. It feels responsible that way. And also because I trust that if somebody's taking a group class with somebody that they've never seen, it might not feel as comfortable. So we're moving gradually into this space. So we have one class for beginners that it will open for 2 new people in a couple of weeks. And, gradually we welcome new people into the space. But the other thing that I was saying about the privates is I put the bars. We have 3 ballet bars, and we put it outside, and I do 1 person at a time right now, where I stay over 10 feet with my own bar and my own floor, and then the student in front, and we work tango techniques. That's so beautiful. That's amazing because, particularly in tango, it was one of the greatest ways to actually learn. When you could just focus on your technique and your relationship with the music and how you step, how you rotate, And here, especially, my experience in the United States was everybody wanted to get it down, the step, the sequence, the partner move. And if that was really delayed or was put aside, and then, your technique and your tango gets really slowed down because you didn't do that process first. When I learned in Argentina, the way I learned was 45 minutes on the wall doing exercises, and then, partner dance. So this particular time is a great opportunity, and people is taking up on that, and we're enjoying it so far.
That's awesome. So first of all, I think it's a little bit unusual. I don't know too many instructors who teach Argentine tango and then teach another dance. Most tango dancers tend to be very specialized in just tango, but you teach tango, you teach salsa, and you mentioned briefly you teach martial arts. And so as the name of your studio kind of implies, right, the so, and I think Michelle and we've noticed a little bit of a pattern that's not an uncommon combination for dancers. Like there's a number of dancers who also get into martial arts in some way. But I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that. And do you see crossover with your students, or I'm just curious how that came to be.
Yeah, it's basically if students don't listen or don't pay attention in class or don't do their homework, a little martial arts comes in handy.
Yeah.
So that's really mainly why we do it.
Doing a wrong turn, Well, I use it a lot. I use a lot the concept of martial arts because I think it's just movement at the end, and that's what I say. To me, it's just sticking to one only dance. It doesn't make sense because it's about movement. In martial arts, even though you're not using music, you are having a flow. You have a timing. You have an anticipation. You have a quality of movement, and you are communicating. Whether it's karate or it's taekwondo or you're doing just simple qigong or tai chi, you are communicating. There is an energy level. There is a posture. And to me, it is always, even, karate, we work our forms and they are choreographies, pretty much, right? So to me, it's always a crossover among those disciplines. And I was doing this, I don't know, 16? Yeah. I don't know.
A while.
Well, a couple decades. Yeah. So I think it's just once you understand the movement and where the chi, the ki, the energy flows from, then as I said earlier, you don't have limits. And if the point is to get your students to discover their body and their qualities and the potential, martial arts to me is very rich. Because it makes you can only do it and do it right if you are present, right? If you are in your space, if you're aware, and it's so much about discipline. It's so much about committing and being, responsible, respectful. There's so much.
Yeah, the discipline is one of the main reasons why we aimed to combine both the dancing and the martial arts in our teachings. Something that you said today, that you said now about the movement, for me, for us, but I specifically see one thing is movement, which we learn in dance and we learn through steps and music and different things. And another thing is movement with purpose. Mm-hmm. And the movement with purpose, it has a little different things. Like there's a time where you just groove out and you just move, and the only purpose is to move, and there's nothing else that you must do. But moving with purpose, which is something that martial arts really trains you for, comes in handy when we're learning dance. Like the action of learning helps us focus, helps us breathing, which is something that all dancers we forget when we're learning, and it maintains a rhythm that is good for you, and it keeps pushing you forward. So there's that purpose that keeps going, and I think a lot of people see that movement with purpose in the martial arts and in the dance environment. Many of our students have done martial arts, and they find a lot of relationship, a lot of similarities with the dynamics of tango. The movement, not so much the rhythm, but the way that you interact with your partner, the back and forth that goes on. So yeah, there's a lot related.
Yeah, I just think in dance you're just not trying to hurt your partner as much.
Right.
Yeah, the combative part of it is different, but there is a lot of relationship.
Basically trying. And then, that as you can see, our company is called Dojo Dance Company. And the name Dojo is particularly because of that, the discipline, the spirit you're trying to build. See, this is just commitment with oneself or the activity you are doing.
Yeah. So do you have a lot of overlap between those two student populations?
Yeah, I was curious about that as well, because you could have students in dance. Sorry?
Oh, I'll repeat the question. Yeah, I was wondering, do you have a lot of overlap? So do you have like one group of martial arts students and another group of dance students, or are they mostly the same community?
Well, currently we are not holding the martial art classes. We stopped that for a while. We are slowly going back to training, and we resumed the self-defense part with a school that I co-work for, which I am the program manager for a non-for-profit. So we brought that back into their settings for the kids, and also because we were working um, for people, with minorities or women that were in need. So we try to offer the martial arts into that setting now through that company. So we are not currently teaching. I did some subbing to hold those classes for a while with boxing and martial arts self-defense, but we are not doing it right now. We'll have to come back soon. We kind of stopped it because we're moving into this area, and our sensei in our school was 50 minutes away, so it kind of got in the way. But we are, and then this happened. So when we were resuming with the classes, this happened, and we just kept it aside. We have our punching bag outside, so we have to go back. But we did have a lot of students who were into martial arts or got into martial arts after they started salsa or doing something with us. So, and I always use it. Like, I constantly tell people, when I'm trying to do hands and stuff, we talk about blocks, and, I'm constantly bringing those concepts because they're important. I think it's very important just to keep an idea that it's not just, okay, tango, and this is for salsa, and this is, it's not a tool for each one. Once you understand, as I was saying, the movement and the energy and your center, everything you can learn and apply. See, if I'm gonna do a block, for example, here, I can block, but if I just wanna embellish the hand, it comes from the same idea. But again, I'm not trying to hurt my partner at that time.
You know what?
I
It doesn't.
do it purposely.
Part of the fun is the correlation that you can relate to with students, regardless of their background or their familiarity in arts or in sports or in anything. Like you said, with your soccer interest too, the agility of sports is a fantastic bridge into dance as well, right? So it doesn't matter if it's footwork in soccer or if it's coming from hockey. I have to say that because I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
Or it could be any sport. And of course, martial arts. My husband, partner, business partner, everything, as David knows, has a huge martial background. And the correlation to dance for him is so significant. And it all comes down to the same thing. It's movement, right? It's movement, it's intention, it's purpose with your body. And it doesn't matter what your platform is. They all somehow connect. And that's what's fun to share.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I work with a few students that they train martial arts. So each time I'm doing a turn or something, I can relate. It says, do it, you're gonna do a side kick. Turn it, you're gonna do a spinning kick. Or, use your hands like you're gonna do a double punch. So then when you have to style, it just makes so much sense.
And another thing is, sorry to interrupt, another thing that we use a lot and we notice a lot is how we make examples through the activity of the student. So if a student comes and takes a salsa class, a tango class, a bachata, whatever it is, and they're having a hard time through a specific set of movements, you can find the relationship of that movement, making an example or an analogy of their whatever hobby. What do? You ski? Okay, your center of mass is somewhere here. And when you ski and you don't want to fall, you get closer to the ground because center of mass brings you more secure to the ground if it's lower, regardless of the activity you do, unless you're in space, which most people are not astronauts by hobby. So there's that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, and I guess it could the knowledge can transfer the other way around, right? If you're teaching someone martial arts, but they have some dance experience, you can say, imagine you're doing a spot turn, and that turns into a kick or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. When I started martial arts, I was really, like in the high level because I could stretch. So my kicks were amazing. Like those things were such such a wonderful thing to have before you really got into martial arts. And then our sensei here that we love, and he's so tough. He would yell at me like, "You're dancing, Maya. Stop dancing." Because sometimes if you do the same movement, but you don't have the tone that requires, like David was saying, moving with purpose. It's like, you're dancing. But it's just, again, you have to be there and sense how much energy and what really you're trying to impose or express, right?
Right. So something else I want to ask you about, you started something, I think it was a couple of years ago, called the Hudson Valley Tango Festival.
Yeah.
And I wish I could talk about it firsthand. I have not attended, but I know people who have and who've spoken highly of it. It seems to have been an event with quite some success. I know things are crazy with events everywhere this year. Nothing is happening or happening in any kind of normal way. But I'm wondering if you could just, this year aside, if you could just tell us a little bit about what inspired you to create the festival.
So a couple of things. The festival was, in a way, a very last-minute thing. Normally we like to plan for a big event, but this one was like, okay, we have to do it. We should do it. Let's do it. We have teachers/friends that said, you guys have to do it. Go do it, and to go do it now. And we got pumped and we rode that train and we jumped on it, not knowing everything that entailed making a festival.
I have no idea.
So what made us do it was, one of the things we noticed was that the Tango community around here was growing, and it was growing very fruitfully. It was very strong. People were very kind. They were embracing the whole culture, not just the dance. And there are other dance communities nearby and not so nearby. And we decided that we realized that it was a really good time to start connecting different communities, bring other people from different communities to meet ours. The people from here can meet other people that are traveling and coming in. And we thought it was a great idea to be able to do that. We thought that there was enough people to be able to offer a full weekend event just around Argentine Tango, because Stardust, for example, has a fantastic weekend, and they're kind of iconic in their weekends, and they have so many different lessons you can take. So you can never go home and say, oh, I didn't find the lesson I wanted. I mean, I'm sure someone can do it, but most people go home in some way satisfied, if not completely. And Argentine Tango is just Argentine Tango. So, but we were able to do it. We brought very good talent, very good musicians. So there was live performances. There were fantastic DJs. The place has become a dream-like place. And so it just became a beautiful experience and a beautiful way for people to connect with other communities, to see, look, we have come from this far away and we still have this in common, and tonight we speak the same language. So that was very deep.
And I think it was also time because, in tango, you come to tango to learn the dance, right? As David was saying, you learn the dance, then you start learning the culture, then you learn the music, and then you start getting this like, okay, I need to move, I need to dance with others, because tango is based on improvisation, and you can really dance the same song in the same place with the same person. It will never feel the same. But imagine that multiplied to anybody and everybody you can ever imagine. The amount of experiences that you can get and the feelings, right? And it's just opportunities to really test your skills and see how you can really connect and communicate, and then make friends.
Absolutely.
You make friends, not people you know, and that's a wonderful thing that dance in general does. But tango makes you travel. People drive hours for tango, and they will do it anytime.
As a matter of fact, one thing I learned from dancing tango was, or specifically tango, was you will never, no matter what dance you do, you will never dance the same dance again. So these 3 minutes of song with this person at this time in this place of the world will never ever repeat itself. Even if you program it, it will never be the same, even if you plan it. and we see that people in tango and Argentine tango are kind of more reminded of that fact. So there is this pursuit for enjoying as much as possible the night, the day. They get up early, take the workshops. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, so that gave people also the sense that it matters. This community matters, right? That you don't have to necessarily go to New York City or go to another state to have a wonderful experience. And I think that's what we wanted to point out, that we wanted our community to be seen, and we wanted to be the host. And now I don't mean we, I mean our community, the Hudson Valley people. And that was also the reason why we went ahead, because we knew we had a community behind us. And if it wasn't because of them, we wouldn't do it.
No.
There is no reason why. If you don't have, to me, everything we do is about our people. It's about the community enjoying, is the betterment of them, is on their advantage. So if they're not gonna enjoy it, there is no point. If there's not benefit for them, we don't need to do that. And that's why we actually postponed and the festival right in the beginning of March, when we saw that this might not be a good time and people might get stressed. We didn't have that idea this was going to be a quarantine.
Yeah, the cancellations weren't on yet when we decided to postpone because of that specific fact. Yeah.
Yeah, but we postponed because we said, if this is for them, if they have to be at risk, if they have to be stressed about their money, committing to something they might, we don't need to do that. Nobody has to go to that stress. That's not what dance is for. So.
Right.
So
right.
in the optimism of it moving forward, let's hope next year it's perfectly fine and uninterrupted. For people that are interested in this, Maia and David, is the festival a combination of performances and workshops and classes, or is it just classes? What exactly does it entail?
Yeah, we do have a combination of classes, workshops. We have different levels also, because we realized that also, since we are in the city of Kingston, which was the capital of New York, right? It's still a very touristic and beautiful place to come. And because of that, we have people that never experienced tango, and they feel curious about this wonderful event happening in the Senate Garage, which is also an iconic place in this district of Kingston. So when we put that together and you get new people coming in, we say, well, we need to have different levels. So we have for absolute beginners, and then we have for intermediate level, and then we have master classes. So they have that, and we also have conferences where we have DJs talking about musicality. We have also teachers talking about tango history, and this starts becoming more about education in general, cultural, and not just dance related. And the bigger we become, the more things we can offer. And then we also have, of course, the performance every night. And we have social dances, we have milongas, we have practicas. It's just such a wonderful thing we do. I love this.
Oh, and how long has this been running? When was the first year?
2017.
2017 was the first year.
Yeah.
It's always in springtime or early spring. And it was always in the city of Kingston. The first year we did it in a different location than from where we do it now. So yeah, 3 years. 3 years.
3 years.
It's been beautiful.
Yeah, and we invite all the local teachers, to participate and offer lessons and connect, and then we bring the stars as well. If you allow me, I want to show you something. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to show you something that we just got last week, and for us, it's very important, which is the first. They didn't call it festival, but that was the first festival that ever happened in Hudson Valley, and that was in 2007 by Walter Kane, who happens to be the one running Hudson Valley Tango before we inherited. So it was very neat to have it. This person just gave it to us last week, and for us it's a wonderful memory of the first get together for the community. That was, 10 years later, we tried to run it again and it was successful. When they did it, it was challenging because there was not actually a community that large to hold an event like that. So, now we got this poster and we like, good, we keep on moving.
Yes,
So,
and make it happen and make it grow. Good for you.
So, so David, you were mentioning a little bit earlier about the Stardust Dance Weekend, and for those of you who don't know, it's a very large dance weekend that's held in New York. I think it's usually 3 or 4 times a year.
4.
And four times a year. Not this year, but as we said, everything's kind of haywire this year. And I have to say, I was planning to go in the spring, and I saw the two of you as some of the guest instructors, and I was looking forward to that. I think at one point I was at your old studio in Fishkill, and I saw the two of you dancing, and you were doing these beautiful volcatas. My wife, she was saying, "Wow, that's so neat! What? I wonder what that's called." Yes, and I found out it's a volcata, and I thought, oh, someday I'm going to learn from David and Maia how to do something so beautiful like that.
Oh, thanks.
I mention it just because we might have people listening to this podcast who are not familiar with the Hudson Valley Tango Festival, but might know you through Stardust. So I just wanted to give that shout out and say, if you experienced Maya and David at Stardust, come 2021, let's check out the Hudson Valley Tango Festival. That could be something really fun to go to as well. And I know Stardust always has a tango track. It's Michelle, I don't know if you're familiar with that event, but they have every night like 4 separate ballrooms, one that's dedicated to Latin dancing, one that's usually dedicated to hustle and West Coast swing, one that's just Argentine tango all night long, and it's a wonderful event. We hope to see you certainly at that event next year. I don't know if it's going to happen in the fall.
As possible.
Yeah, we are scheduled with the Stardust again because they scheduled us, of course, in April to perform and teach, and then due to this they postponed to September, but we don't know if that's going to happen.
It's hard to know, right?
Yeah. We just want to make sure people they stay safe, and if you are listening, just dance at home, be safe, keep the spirit, listen to music, and just don't risk yourself. It's just it's gonna pass, and we'll dance again. We'll hug, we'll kiss. I won't leave you alone.
And I'll mention one other thing. I saw something interesting that you two did as well. I think you refer to it as the COVID challenge or something. It was, I think you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to share a link to that in the show notes.
Beautiful.
It's a rather comedic video.
There's months and months of training.
Yes.
I'm very curious now. I'm going to have to check this out, David.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll have to check it out.
It
It involved rolls of toilet paper and various forms of acrobatics, let's say.
Yes.
It was an attempt against cabin fever.
Yeah.
But in a small way, you put something out like that just to stay connected with your community and let people know that you're still there and you're thinking about them, that there's ways we can still connect and have fun. And I think it's so great that now that we're starting to open up, you're doing what you're doing with the outdoor events. And we just hope that that trajectory continues to improve. We can.
Yeah. We did those videos because one of the Tango stars challenged us to do, right? And they were just trying to get us to do that specific pose that you will see, Michelle, when you check it out.
Yes, I will.
So we say, we'll do it, but we're gonna just bring it one notch up and make everybody laugh, because we thought, we can do the challenge, but how about we do the challenge and we get people just to, lift the spirit and know that it's okay,
We later realized there was a couple of notches up.
Yeah.
We didn't know that at the time.
They keep sending us this challenge, so then we put ourselves into this. I think there are 3 videos, and I kind of miss them, so I think we gotta do it again.
Yeah, it might come back. It might come back.
Just don't challenge me to do what you did.
Okay.
I'm not quite that brave.
Stay tuned for more.
Okay. Well,
Thank you both so much. It was wonderful to just
yes.
share your story and find out more about your passion and everything that you're doing for the dance community. That's exactly how we feel, so I can certainly share that with you. It is a community. It feels like a family that's part of your life, and everyone has the same goal and motivation and love of dance and movement and passion. So it's wonderful to meet you and hear your story. And I wish you only good things through this COVID pandemic and beyond.
Thank
Yes.
you.
The pleasure
Thank
is
you.
ours.
Thank you
For
so
taking
much.
the time.
Yeah, and just briefly, thank you for doing this. I was telling David that we were lucky that a lot of people was interested in knowing how our company was doing, and we got a couple of interviews. And I think that you guys are making a difference, and you are telling us that you see us and you care, and that's really important. So even though we try to stay connected with our people, I think that you are making that happen, and we are grateful for that and accommodating us in your time. Um, and just that simply, thanking everybody in the community. We had a lot of people calling, and we call a lot of people, but also we received gifts and flowers and cakes, and people also make some kind of buying certificate for whenever everything fixed. Trying to make sure we were taken care of. And so it was very mutual, and I think that's why we feel great. Business could be not doing as great financially, but when you perceive that it's beyond that, when you perceive that you already won, you perceive that your work is being done and it's going in a really good path, it feels good.
Yes.
I am happy, and I'm thankful for you too. Thank you so much. And just to give a nice promotion,
Oh,
okay?
Fine.dance. Yes, sir.
Dance. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much.
Salud. Muchas gracias.
Indeed. Thank you.